So I am back in Philly after a long holiday weekend fly fishing in Colorado. There is nothing better than being out in Colorado with my oldest son Matthew as my guide. We caught a few trout, drank a few beers, and I got my ass kicked playing pool. It was a perfect Labor Day weekend. And now we're back to the market. And as it happened, right after we filmed our last episodes, one of the biggest news stories of the year broke. Rolex bought Bucherer, one of the largest retailers of watches in the world, and the internet and the markets blew up. Now, to put the news in perspective, it's important to understand the relationship of Rolex and Bucherer. The two companies have been close for almost 100 years, and Jörg Bucherer is said to be the last retailer who actually dealt with Hans Wilsdorf. Now, the news came as a shock because historically Rolex has done just the opposite of most brands and has painfully avoided going into the retail business and has been the biggest supporter of their ORJ network. The purchase of Bucherer will now put them in control of the largest retailer of their watches. The biggest immediate effect was on the stock of Watches of Switzerland. Now, they are one of the largest sellers of Rolex as well, and Rolex represents about 55% of their total business. Now, with Rolex announcing the ownership of Bucherer, the markets immediately reacted. Now, the stock has bounced back, and both Rolex and Watches of Switzerland have issued statements that the business model has not changed, and Rolex is committed to keeping its ORJ network intact, and that Bucherer will run as an independent business. Now, I absolutely believe this will be true, especially in the short term. Rolex trades in every country in the world, and they would not be able to manage a direct-to-consumer business over the short term. Most people feel like Rolex made this move as a defensive play to keep Bucherer from being sold to a competitor, either LVMH or Richemont, but I believe it may have been in the plans for a longer time. Now, Rolex typically makes decisions over decades, and as a foundation does not worry about short-term results, but only what's best for the brand. Having control of a major seller of your product is certainly a great long-term strategy for Rolex. So for the short term, nothing will change. You will not be able to walk into your local Bucherer and buy a stainless steel sports model. But rest assured, Rolex will be the most closely followed and most influential watch brand in the world. And they seem to be doing everything right to keep that going for the next generation. Now, last week we closed out the summer with Geneva Watch Days, and we saw a number of very cool pieces hit the market. I thought it'd be fun to touch on a few of them in case you missed them. Now, the coolest release has to be the Streamliner Pandemonium, made as a one-of collaboration for the Only Watch auction. It's the best of MB&F and Moser coming together, making the iconic Streamliner into a legacy machine minute repeater, all orchestrated by a tiny DJ Panda. It combines serious watchmaking and serious fun. I hope it goes big for a great cause. Now, Bulgari took a ton of the headlines with their Octo Finissimo carbon gold perpetual calendar. Now, I have always loved the Octo Finissimo, and making the case and bracelet in carbon only makes the watch even better. But they did not stop there. Turn it over, you'll find a movement dressed in gold, which has an amazing contrast to the black carbon case. This is a great interpretation of a watch that's quickly become a classic. Now, another great carbon watch that came out was from Greubel Forsey with the new Balancier Convex S2. I love the new direction with a smaller size, and at 41.5 millimeters, combined with carbon, this should continue the demand for the Balancier, which has put some new life into the brand over the past few years. Then we switched over to Laurent Ferrier, who gave us another green watch. But I do have to say, the Sport Auto does have a cool look. I like the color, I love the titanium case, and I expect the 40-piece limited edition will do great. And I couldn't finish without mentioning the Bethune DB28 XP, now in kind of blue. Now, I've always loved Denny's blue titanium work. This limited edition of 25 pieces is amazing. I'm sure it's gonna sell out quickly. Now, those were some of my favorite pieces. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next Market Wrap.